experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items in their quest. However, things are shaken up just a little bit. And we'll get more into what those shakeups are as we go along here. But first, we're going to get started. The king giving the instructions, and the first 3 treasure chests, which in the normal game are some basic items. In this one, though, it is randomized, and right off the bat, one of those items, the Erdrick's token, is in play. And we also have not 1, but 2 magic keys, which will allow for early exploration, as that key can be used to either access the treasury in the lower part of Tanagil Castle, as well as a few other options.
Yeah, now it looks like Ryu is going back to save, which can be good because he can take a peek in and see what's in the treasury, and then maybe reset if he doesn't like what he sees. Because of course they don't have any gold to start, so they can't necessarily go to buy more keys right away.
And we'll find out right now what is in the treasury. Well, we've got the silver harp, which is one of the essential items. Also the fighter's ring, which will give a boost of 2 attack power. And well, it looks like using the... looks like we've got an herb as well. I'll explain the glitch that is the treasure chest in just a moment, as they're certainly looking to take advantage of that.
And the torch, I believe, is the last one, so he'll grab a few of those.
Yes. Now, with Dragon Warrior, the programmers had not exactly accounted for something. As far as the treasure chests go, once it registers 8 treasure chests disappeared, once a 9th one is still on the screen without being reset, that chest, well, it won't disappear. Now, because there are the 3 chests in the main throne room, and then once exiting and re-entering the king's throne room, it keeps track of those and kind of locks them in, so that accounts for 6 treasure chests. Then 2 of the ones that were opened in the treasury, those can disappear, and then the 3rd and 4th ones, well, not so much. And RyuSeishin automatically knocking out a stone man with an excellent move and able to already gain levels as, well, something different here.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's... And wow, look at those spells. 6 spells, 7 levels in the first 184 points.
Yeah, what happens is in the early game of Chaos, there's just not very many enemies that you can kill, and I think he found the one that is sort of dedicated to being able to kill it right away. And he just got lucky, and it happened to be the Stone Man this time.
Well, yes, with the Chaos Seed, along with all of the standard randomizer flags that you may have seen in tournaments past, you have the weapon and armor prices that are randomized. You have enemy statistics that are randomized. So a Stone Man, which is usually one of the 6 toughest enemies in the game, in this case is randomized to have 5 hit points. And that's why that excellent move was enough to take it out and give Ryu the early lead, going up 6 levels to a level 7. And the part of the reasoning for that is the amount of experience needed to gain a level is randomized. So that 184 experience ended up creating 7 levels, although moving along a little bit further, you could just as easily have a couple of 1,000 hit points to get to the next level. I've seen in some cases one level taking about 200 experience and then the next one taking about 5,000.
So a couple of quick details too. The reason why they ended up in that gold glitch is because they both went back into the throne room to save, and that triggers 3 more treasure chests being counted by re-entering the throne rooms. And then when they got the 7th and the 8th chests in the treasury, then they were in that gold glitch status. If they did not go back to save, that glitch would not have occurred right away there. The other interesting thing is that both players chose to move forward with what was in the treasury, and so now they're both out of keys until they find more. Another option would have been to just look and see what was in there, knowing that the harp was there. You could get it at any point. Then maybe later in the game, you could go ahead and get the harp later on, and you could save your key in case you stumble upon Garenham or one of the other places where you're going to need keys. Or maybe saving up a little bit of gold in order to go in and buying more keys from Tantegel.
Well, Z-Man able to take out an enemy that got him to level 3, and then getting the hurt spell used it to take out one of those stone men, and now he's vaulted up to level 7.
So that's great that both players have been able to get that first kill quickly, because that can actually sway a chaos match considerably. If somebody can't find something to kill on level 1 for several minutes, the other player could just be running away with it. In this case, they both have leveled up very quickly, so it's going to be a great race.
Most certainly, and with that, another couple of levels for Z-Man as he takes out another Stone Man and is also up to level 9.
Also interesting is when they found the token in the beginning. The token is one of the harder items to find, because that could be in a treasure chest or it could be on a search spot. So now there's really only one more quest item that they need to find to go along with the Erdrick's armor, and we could have a case where they may not even need to go into one of the dungeons.
Most certainly, and Ryu finding Rimaldar here on the right, also known as Rimalder. And looks to be purchasing a hand axe. Meanwhile, Z-Man looking to grind a little bit more around Tantagel Castle. Now, the crazy thing with these Chaos Seeds is, I saw one last night where it took upwards of a half hour to get that first enemy kill, and here we got it within the first few minutes. So things moving at a lightning fast pace. Normally in a standard game, it would take you at least an hour to get to level 9, and now here we've done it within the first 6 minutes of the game. And as I say that, Z-Man now going up to level 10. And we have found that, this gives you an idea of some of the chaoticness, that the standard slime, one of the easiest enemy in the game normally, and this has Dragonlord 2 Breath, which does damage of anywhere from 63 to 72 hit points.
And Ryu finds the Stones of Sunlight in Rimaldar, so he is done finding the quest items.
And we're not even 8 minutes into this seed. That is amazing.
It really is. So now he just needs to find the Rainbow Drop Cave and the Rain Cave, and he'll need to find the Erdrick's armor on a search spot, but he will not have to go into the mountain cave or into the grave.
Well, not necessarily. If Erdrick's sword is in there, that will certainly help in terms of offense against the Dragon Lord, as that is one of the other chaotic things to this particular tournament, is the Dragon Lord, who in a standard randomizer, the second form of Dragon Lord has between 150 and 165 hit points, and it's pretty easy to calculate when a good time is to fight that particular boss, or the boss in this case. But with Chaos Mode, it's a little different. The Dragon Lord 2, or the second form of Dragon Lord, I should say, has anywhere between 100 and 230 hit points. And Ryu finding the Staff of Rain Cave. Yeah, this thing could be one of the quickest seeds that we've ever seen here. Ryu already with all the items needed to get the rainbow drop, and now just a matter of finding what's going on here. Meanwhile, what a bargain for Z-Man, as he found the Silver Shield, which is the strongest shield in the game, for a whopping 2 gold, which normally it costs 14,800. Where's Jim Perry when we need him? That was the sale of the century.
That is amazing, and full plate is available very cheap there as well.
Yeah, Lavkian just joining us in chat. When you show up a little late, boy, do you miss a lot here. As it's amazing I'm giving a recap, and we've just hit the 10-minute mark here, but Erdrick's token was in the throne room along with 2 magic keys. And then in the treasury, we had an herb, a torch, the fighter's ring, and the silver harp. And Ryu found the stones of sunlight in Rimeldar behind the double doors. And has just since traded that silver harp in for the Staff of Rain. So all of the items are in play, as Z-Man is now acquiring the Dragon Scale and is making sure that and the Fighter's Ring are on. The Dragon Scale adding 2 defense points to your total, whereas the Fighter's Ring adds 2 attack points. Ryu, meanwhile, is navigating through the swamp cave, trying to see where it travels to on the other end. And blue dragons have sleep. So now it looks to be a battle. Oh, I was going to say a battle of hurt spells, but now stop spell cast by the golem on Ryu, and having trouble running away. Might be slowly picking him apart here, as Z-Man smashes another stone man into little gravel bits. Now, for those a little bit more familiar with the vanilla game of Dragon Warrior, you'll notice that the map is completely randomized. The town locations, the cave locations, you see there's intermittent swamp and mountains and hills everywhere. So that is a bit different. The contents in the various weapon and armor shops have been randomized. The different search spot contents and treasure chests, as you have definitely seen, is randomized. Also, the enemy locations are in different spots. That's how you can have a slime that breathes Dragon Lord breath, and you can have Stone Men attacking for 1 damage point, where usually it would be considerably more than that. And Ryu has found Cantlin. And we see in chat, not chaotic enough, but I mean, looking at some of these prices, it most certainly is. And Z-Man has found what looks to be the Tablet Cave. The Tablet Cave, there are no enemy encounters in it, and at the very end of it, there is 1 treasure chest that certainly could have something applicable, maybe perhaps Erdrick's sword in here. We'll find out in a moment. And it turns out that it's some big bucks. A gold chest with a random amount anywhere between 500 and 750 gold.
So Ryu was a little worried that he didn't have enough gold there because he had 2 keys available, and I did not see him go in to get the coordinates. He may need those in order to potentially learn where the armor is, and he chose not to do it. Maybe he wants to be able to buy more keys first.
That certainly is possible, as the Erdrick's armor is arguably one of the most broken armors in RPG history, as far as all of the things that it does and all the benefits that it has. Of course, not only it being the strongest armor in the game, adding 28 hit point or 28 damage or defense points, to your total. It also reduces the damage in the swamp as to nothing. It negates it, I should say. It also, as I'm looking here at Z-Man's screen, finding the first 3 chests in the Grave of Garanham, and it turns out that it's an herb and a bunch of money, and there's another cave right above it. And that looks to be the mountain cave. So access to 5 chests in each cave, so 10 different treasure chests. Could among those be Erdrick's sword, the strongest sword in the game?
Yeah, now I don't believe Z-Man found the Stones of Sunlight where Ryu did, so he may be going in here looking for that as well, and he's not going to find it, of course. But of course, if he could find the sword, that would at least make it so that it's not a wasted trip.
Most certainly, and Skeleton's giving 210 experience. Those are very fruitful.
Ryu now is going back for those coordinates. Let's see what we have here. Oh, he takes a step and not able to get through. He didn't have enough herbs.
Oh, that's what it was.
So does neither player have heal or heal more yet? I did not see the list of spells very closely.
Not that I've seen at level 11. But as we've seen, they've these levels have shot up, at least in the early going here. Already both players at level 11. Barely 11 minutes into the seed. We're now just over the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, so with the Erdrick sword too, you can have some level ups where you don't necessarily need the sword to finish the game. And the other thing is that the sword actually could be in one of the chests in Charlock. So really, finding that armor is top priority for Ryu. So he really needs to go straight back and get those coordinates. Other places the armor could be hiding, of course, are in the search spot in Hawksness or in the search spot in the town of Cole.
Neither of which have been found yet by either player. So their best advantage at this point would be to acquire those coordinates in Cantlin. Or perhaps they're looking to level up to perhaps either gain enough levels to get a healing spell or gain enough hit points where they don't necessarily have to use as many herbs to reach the man who provides the coordinates.
And Z-Man, meanwhile, has some gold at his disposal, so he casts Return immediately and goes back to buy more keys from Tanteagle. See what he has in mind to do next.
And true, I don't believe either of our competitors until now have gone to the back of Tantegel to see what is in the steps at the basement of Tantegel Castle, and we'll find out that it is another cave. And this is the north end of the Swamp Cave.
Looks like he wants to acquire the princess, perhaps.
Well, that is a pretty solid strategy as long as he can defeat the Guardian, which in this seed is the Demon Knight. And Ryu getting the news that there are no coordinates in this seed.
Yeah, so the reason for that, of course, is that the token was in a chest. And so now we know that the fairy flute and the armor are in the town of Cole and in Hawksness, one in each town.
So now it's a matter of, are they in their traditional spots or have they been mixed around, and is the fairy flute in Hawksness and Erdrick's armor in Cole? Wow, it is a high level up to get to level 12, roughly 3,200 and change experience, as the king informs Ryu. Meanwhile, Z-Man is hurt spamming the Demon Knight and trying to outlive and outlast it as there's no way to heal. I believe all of the herbs have been used up. Oh no, there are two. He was waiting for it to get down to the lowest possible spot without expiring. And he is able to take out the Demon Knight. All that effort for 59 experience.
McGrew in chat, by the way, pointing out that the flute now can be in a chest as well. I guess in the latest release of Randomizer, that has been changed as well. So you don't necessarily know if there will be something in Cole or Hawksnest. You'll have to search to find out, I guess.
Oh. Clever and tricky. I guess that's in response to all the people going, McGrew, not random enough.
Yeah. Be like, I'll show you random. Chaos Seed.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. Meanwhile, Z-Man rescuing the princess and taking her back to the castle, and the benefit to that is, well, she will provide her love to you, which is almost, as it has been jokingly referred to, a GPS, Gwaelin positioning system. She will let you know how far away you are from the castle when there are coordinates, but more importantly for this Chaos Seed, because the amount of experience from one level to the next is randomized, she will also let you know how many experience it takes to get to your next level.
Yeah, so I didn't catch if Z-Man, if he was in Cantlin and he actually got the coordinates already, and that's why he decided to get the princess, or if he just happened to be in the swamp cave and figured he would just go ahead and try it while he was there.
Well, from what I've seen as far as Z-Man's past strategies, he has pretty much made it a point to rescue the princess regardless, just so he has that knowledge to see whether the next level is 39 experience away or whether it's 3,900 experience away or somewhere in between.
Yeah, good point. That's new with Chaos Seeds. That's true.
Yeah, it is not a set growing amount that grows little by little as the levels increase. You could have 3,000 experience to one level, and then killing one enemy could get you another 2 levels.
So one of the challenges along the way while they're navigating the overworld is they have to kind of remember which monsters are which in Chaos. You know, we've gotten used to which enemies can do what in the vanilla seeds and in regular traditional randomizer seeds. Now they have to kind of remember what these monsters can do, how strong they are, how hard they hit, if they have any experience in gold that are worthwhile. They're keeping all that in their minds unless they're taking notes.
And that is the challenge, given how many different enemies there are, is to see which ones provide worthwhile experience and which ones don't. And Lavkian noting in chat that for all of the riches that they have found early on, that there is some brutality in terms of very low max hit points, no heal spells, and roughly 3,000 gold or 3,000 experience to get to the next level, as Z-Man finding out the unfortunate news that there are no coordinates to be found.
I'll tell you what, that top level of the mountain cave could be a pretty good grind zone because there's a lot of stone men there. They're worth about 184 experience and they have about 6 hit points. If you can find a lot of those in a hurry, you could make some levels.
That could be a good spot there, as stone men were also right around the base of Tanager Castle. That was what allowed our runners to get to such the fast start that they have. Here, only about 23 and a half minutes into this seed. Our first matchup here in the 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament. And Lavkian noting in chat, this is definitely going to set a record for most herbs used in a tournament race. Well, while I've kept track of a lot of different statistics, I have to admit that that isn't one that I've necessarily looked up, and I don't know if that is one that I want to go back and look at, given the significant number of tournament races over the course of the past 2 years. As Z-Man now going into a cave and going right back out of it. Still looking around for these stones of sunlight. That's right, I don't think the Z-Man ever took a look in the chest in Rimuldar.
Yeah, that's one that can get you. You can play through the game and you don't know why you haven't found something. You think you've opened all the chests, and you just assume that you got the one in Rimuldar, and sometimes you just forget, and you're like, "Where is this thing? There's no more chests to open. Where can it be?"
Meanwhile, a moment ago, we had a virtual high five as both competitors entering the Grave of Garen at practically the same time. So this is still very neck and neck, as you see only about 300 experience differential between the two competitors, and Ryu falling to the Demon Knight, and that's going to send him back to the castle at the cost of half of his gold. But as you see, both competitors honing in on level 12, and that could be very crucial, as if that has a heal spell, that will make things considerably easier for exploration and moving along even further in this very swift seed thus far.
The other thing is that sometimes, in terms of exploring the map, in these latest seeds, you can be required to go through the swamp cave to get to another continent. Now, I haven't noticed if that's the case in this one. I know we still haven't found Hawksness, and I wonder if it's on the other side of the swamp cave.
Which would require going through the castle to do so. And Ryu with a, as it's affectionately known, a Kaishin no Ichigeki, also known as an excellent move, and not enough to take down the Axe Knight. Meanwhile, the Warlock sending Z-Man back to the castle with a very strong attack. And Ryu is going to make his way to level 12 with a 28 strength boost, as well as the heal spell. And there's another one of those Axe Knights. For those just joining us, this has been a very swift seed in the early going. The majority of the items have already been accounted for as far as the key items in the game. Erdrick's token was in the throne room. The silver harp was in the treasury. And the Stones of Sunlight are in the chest in Rimuldar, which was just only found by Ryu and not yet by Z-Man, even though both individuals have gone to Rimuldar in a couple of occasions throughout this seed here.
So there's a chest here in the tablet cave for Ryu. Let's see if the sword is here.
That is going to be some gold, as it was found by Z-Man earlier.
I feel like Ryu now should be concentrating more on overworld exploration to try and find the towns. I think the armor is priority at this point, and that has to be in Hawksness or in Cole.
Well, perhaps he's thinking, all right, as I'm going along the way here, I got to see what else is in the caves, as meanwhile Z-Man is going to find out about that huge power boost as well as the heal spell.
We should probably take a minute and talk about the players. We had so much action in the beginning, we didn't really get a chance. Z-Man is one of our avid commentators within the Randomizer community, commentating for Zelda 1 randomizers, Dragon Warrior randomizer tournament matches. He said he participates quite a bit in Zelda 1 randomizer. Entered the Winter 2017 Zelda 1 randomizer tournament and moved on to the bracket stages of that one. Enjoys various other randomizers as well. And Ryu says he got into this racing of Dragon Warrior randomizer after watching some previous tournament races. So it's great to see the community growing in that way. He also enjoys Zelda 1 randomizer as well. Other games of interest include Civilization 5 and Rocket League. So glad to have both racers with us today.
And Z-Man certainly glad to have Erdrick's armor, as he found it 4 steps south of the baths in Cole.
And he knows where Charlock Castle is as well, seeing it on his screen there. That's one of the things that could trip you up if you find everything quickly. You still have to find the castle at some point.
Well, once Ryu finds coal, that'll be extremely advantageous for him, as Erdrick's armor is right there by the castle. And Z-Man, meanwhile, going quickly into and quickly out of Breckenary. One of my favorite towns. I affectionately refer to it as Six Town, because of the 6 gold that it costs to stay at the inn, the least expensive inn throughout all of Alefgard. Ryu, meanwhile, has found Garenham and is going to stock up on some herbs. And a sight that you don't normally see, the red dragon running away from a competitor. And that is an expensive broadsword, over 13,000 gold. The flame sword, which is stronger, certainly the better buy. But Ryu hoping that one of these 3 chests here may have Erdrick's sword, which is even stronger. And
So I love our new overlay, by the way, in our channel, but I'm not sure if I can see if we are able to see their statistics anymore. Maybe someone can point to that for me. Starting to get close to where I would like to see what their attack power and MP scores are looking like, if they're getting close to Dragon Lord status here.
Well, we're certainly going to find out soon what Ryu's going to do here, as he has just found the Rainbow Drop Cave in the back of Garenham and has traded in everything to get the Rainbow Drop. So apart from perhaps Erdrick's sword, which now he's upgraded to the Flame Sword, and looking around for Erdrick's armor, Ryu is able to access Charlock Castle once he's able to find it.
Yeah, now, as opposed to the armor, which you mentioned before, has a lot of extra benefits. As far as I know, the sword is really just, it's plus 40 as opposed to the flame sword, which is plus 28. So, like I was saying before, if you do have certain level ups that give you giant power boosts, you could go without the Erdrick sword in theory. Of course, it would be great to find it. But, at this point, I think, maybe he won't need it. We'll see.
And there was so much action going on here that I didn't even get the chance to mention is, wow, those Spectres give a lot of experience, 237. The Erdrick's armor, it adds 28 to your defense. You take no damage stepping on a swamp tile as well as the barrier tiles, whereas without the armor, you would take 2 damage for a swamp and 15 for the barrier tiles. You also get reductions in the hurt and hurt more spells that are cast on you, as well as the Fire Breath, as well as Dragon Lord 2 Breath. It takes off a third of the damage of each. Plus, with each step that you take, you heal 1 hit point.
And I think you become relatively immune from stop spell. There's just so many benefits with that one piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, the stop spell immunity as well.
Let's see if Z-Man finds the fairy flute here in Hawk's Nest. I'm not sure what else could be here.
Well, it looks like it would either be the fairy flute or nothing. And it is the latter.
Yeah, Z-Man never did find the Stones of Sunlight, correct? So he's going to all these places hoping to find something. Of course, the stones can't be in the search spot, but he's trying to find everything as quickly as he can. Ryu, just the way he happened to explore, he seemed to find everything very quickly.
Ooh, and we learned that the Spectre has Heal More as well as Baby Dragon Breath. And we've got simultaneous level gains. That was pretty much in sync. And yes, Lavkian, the hit point gains are different because they are using two different builds. Ryu is using the strength HP build, which is why he was able to get a different gain, whereas Z-Man is using strength agility. So that's why there was that 1 point differential in hit point gain at level 13, 17 versus 16. And it's a simple matter of a lowercase z versus an uppercase z, or for those north of the border here in the U.S., a lowercase z versus an uppercase z.
So I'm just kind of checking out our display again. Did Ryu never find a silver shield for sale in any of these shops that he's come across?
It's very possible he may have bought it in the midst of all the chaos, no pun intended, of the early ongoings. It only cost 2 gold, so it was pretty quick.
Yeah, and it was in Cantlin. I think he found Cantlin early. I have to imagine he would have bought that. So, okay, we have that marked off for him now. What else does he need? So Ryu did not find the armor. We saw Z-Man picked it up already. Is that correct?
Yeah, Z-Man has Erdrick's armor, as you saw there on the tracker for Ryu. He has the flame sword and the full plate armor. As well as going up to level 15, and I believe that, noting that the spells have been gotten the heal more and hurt more here. And we have a question in chat. What is repel tied to in terms of it working? And the way that works is if your defense is higher, yes, than the enemy's strength, then, or as high as or equal to or greater than the enemy's strength, then that enemy will not encounter you on the overworld.
Yeah, I believe it's approximately equal to what we call defense breaking enemies. I think once they're in that status, then they are repellable as well, or approximately the same.
And meanwhile, Z-Man has gone back into Rimeldar and has found the Stones of Sunlight. As Ryu, meanwhile, is going to go deeper into Garen's grave. We have seen what the top 3 chests are. We have not seen what the 2 lower level chests are.
Hoping for the sword, of course, although there are 7 chests in Charlock where the sword could be hiding.
And Z-Man is going to find the Staff of Rain Cave and is going to trade in that silver harp that was found really early on in the treasury for the Staff of Rain, which is the 3rd of the essential items needed to get the rainbow drop. Ryu already has the rainbow drop, but is looking around for Erdrick's armor. Z-Man, meanwhile, looking for the rainbow drop cave. As Ryu, meaning to cast Heal More, accidentally casting Hurt More. We've all done that at a time or two.
Wow, fairy water can be in chests now too. I have not played the latest version enough. It's interesting.
Yes, fairy water and dragon scales can now be in chests as well. That was an update in version, I believe, 2.0.2. I'm sure McGrew will correct me on that because I'm making a complete uneducated guess. Meanwhile, Ryu smashing a magician into 125 pieces. And 2.0. Okay, plain old 2.0 was the chest change. I knew McGrew was going to correct me on it. Keeping me honest here. And Z-Man, meanwhile, is sticking to his aforementioned game plan, as he told me in a pregame interview, to get repel and fly all over. Looking for all the last bits of the remaining items.
It's interesting. Now that they're on level 15 with heal more, and they seem to have triple digits HP, I'm surprised neither player has even gone into their status screen to see if they need to level up anymore. I'm interested to see what those stats are.
Well, Ryu getting all the way to the bottom of Garen's grave and finding the Death Necklace, which is a cursed item in this game, although it has been enhanced to do at least a little bit more in terms of giving a little to get a little. If you put on the Death Necklace, you will gain 10 attack power, but at the cost of 25% of your hit points, of your max hit points. And meanwhile, Z-Man in Garenham and finding the big bucks, the torch, and the herb. And is going to find the Rainbow Drop Cave, affectionately known here as the Jerk Cave, because if you don't have all the items that you need, the old man will literally kick you out of the cave. Z-Man hot-footing it back to the castle. And Ryu looking to re-up on some magic keys in Rimeldar.
Yeah, I wonder if Z-Man also knows that the path to Charlock, you have to go through the swamp cave to get there. I have not kept careful track of the overworld map to know if we're on 2 continents or if it's just 1 this time.
Well, in terms of equipment, Z-Man is as equipped as he can be, with the exception of Erdrick's sword, which will increase his strength by another 12. That'll put him up into the upper 130s.
And he is going through the swamp cave, so I guess he has decided that this is the way to Charlock Castle. I imagine he's going there now.
Well, he is also, he went into the swamp cave earlier to rescue Gwaelin, but I don't know if he necessarily went all the way through.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And Ryu doing a little bit of exploration, but now is going to return back to the castle. As Z-Man working on his own navigation in the dark. And is going to cast Repel and do some searching. And has come up upon Cole as well as Charlock Castle, but Z-Man found Cole earlier. That's how he was able to get Erdrick's armor. And Z-Man is going to be the first to use the Rainbow Drop and go into Charlock Castle, save for this stone man blocking the path and running away here at 43 minutes and 15 seconds into this seed. Ryu, though, hot on the chase in Swamp Cave, heading south, and is going to be exploring this other part of the continent, which I believe is one of the first for him. I don't know if he's necessarily explored most of it.
Yeah, the question just came up in my mind is, did Ryo ever find the town of Garenham, and did he go through the back door? Because that is where the Rainbow Drop is hiding, in the backside of Garenham. And maybe he's been looking around for a cave, trying to find the Rainbow Drop, and forgetting that there's also a cave sort of attached to the back door of Garenham, that you have to go through the door to get to it.
Well, Ryu did find Garenham and was the first of our two competitors to acquire the Rainbow Drop.
Ah, good. Okay, I missed it.
Yeah, Ryu had gotten that at least 10, maybe 12 minutes ago. What Ryu's looking for now is Erdrick's armor, and we have found out that that is in Cole, which Ryu has not yet found and Z-Man has, as Z-Man is looking to make the descent into Charlock Castle.
So that's the missing town for Ryu. Yeah. Sometimes there's always, it's like, oh, they forgot to put that town in the game. I've been everywhere. Where is it?
Well, once Ryu finds Cole, he'll find Charlock, and those are the two things that he's looking for, and has been unable to encounter either one of them. But we know from what we've been able to see, he is fairly close. Maybe on the wrong half, as he's in the northeastern end, and I believe it's in the southeastern end. But will finding it be too little too late as Z-Man is making his way through Charlock Castle?
Yeah, Ryu trudging through these big swamps, taking damage. Just a one more reminder that he has not found the armor.
And the Warlock's looking to prove problematic. And Z-Man has been putting the Warlocks to sleep and just running away. Considering how much magic points are being used, this is merely an exploration dive into Charlock. Perhaps to see if Erdrick's sword is among the, as you mentioned earlier, the 7 chests that are throughout Charlock. 6 on the bottom level, that 7th floor basement in a pyramid-like shape. And then there's one hanging out in the middle that requires a detoured path that in the vanilla version of the game contains Erdrick's sword, although there could be a possibility that we see it here. And I guess this is the time, chat, for you to place your guesses as to where it would be. And I know that Lavkian earlier called dead center chest, whichever that meant.
And I guess Ryu had not seen what was in Hawksness either, and I think he was hoping the armor was there, and pretty disappointed to see the old nothing burger.
Well, if nothing else, that's right, because Ryu had not found that either. So it was a coin flip as to whether the armor was in Hawksness or whether it was in Cole, and he picked heads, and it looks like it came up tails. Z-Man, meanwhile, on floor 5 or basement 5 of Charlock Castle. As Ryu navigating through a huge swamp. And a Wraith attacking for 30 and giving Z-Man some trouble here in Charlock.
Yeah, you may be able to speak to this a little more than me, but I've heard very recently that they may have implemented a quote-unquote run penalty within Charlock in order to make running away from monsters even harder than they already are.
I don't know necessarily about a penalty per se, but it has been balanced out so that running from every enemy just to get down. Oh no! The Wraith Knight with a sleep and quad attack pickoff puts Z-Man down to 0 hit points and back to the castle as he was on that 7th level of Charlock Castle, but had not yet gotten to those treasure chests.
Yeah, he must have been pretty tired. He was taking a long nap there on the sleep spell.
I'm ready to take a long nap after this. This is the most exhausted. This is like some high-intensity training here as far as commentating and calling all this here. This has just been... This has been more rapid fire than jokes on you can't do that on television. I'm showing my age with that one.
Yeah, I mean, this seed started fast and furious, so it's been like a sprint just trying to keep up with what they've been doing.
It could be worse. I could have said Rowan and Martin's laughing and really lost.
I mean, we're less than 50 minutes in here, and we're already talking about endgame strategy at this point for Z-Man, and Ryu is not far behind. Might be a good time to bring up the fact that Dragon Lord 2 has been tweaked slightly. So, in traditional randomizer races on more normal tournament settings, you can pretty closely calculate what statistics you need to be able to take on the Dragon Lord. Now it's not so certain because Dragon Lord could have sleep. You may have to spend 5 or 6 stop spell castings before that gets through. It's a little bit more, and the HP total can vary quite widely now as well.
Yes, there are, as Ryu now finding Erdrick's armor, finding Cole. So Ryu pretty close in on making the dive, and with the experience advantage, as Z-Man has been casting Repel and doing the searching, Ryu's been fighting and has been gaining the levels and has about an 1,800 experience lead. Actually make it now 1,600 as Z-Man taking care of a Spectre or two.
Yeah, I just caught a quick glimpse of the status screen. Looked like 131 attack power. Maybe somebody else had a better view. So that is right around where you want to be to take on the Dragon Lord. He's at level 16.
And that's without Erdrick's sword. So if he is able to go down to the treasury and kind of takes that detour and finds it, that additional 12, that puts it from 131 to 143.
Yeah, and he also has the Death Necklace because he went down into the lower levels to find it. So that could come into play as well. Not totally sure what their HP total is. It's in the high, maybe around 120 and change now.
Possibly, and dodging a bit of a bullet there as the Wraith Knight was casting sleep on Ryu with pretty low hit points, but was able to wake up after one turn and cast Heal More. Otherwise, that would have sent him back. And as we've seen, it is a long journey from Tanagel Castle to Charlock.
So Z-Man just now got level 16 as well. Took a good look at his stats. Same as what we just saw, about 131 attack power. Got decent MP. He's got about 100 defense. He probably feels like that's enough. It looks like quite a long ways to 17 because Ryu has not hit 17 yet, and he is a lot more experience.
So it looks like the race and the chase is on as both men entered Charlock at about the same time. Z-Man is now making his way down to the second basement, and Ryu has gone up to level 17 at about 7,500 experience.
Yeah, 6 more power there. That probably puts him over the top if he wasn't there already.
And continuing to fight his way down, and that's an interesting strategy because, again, with Chaos, even though it took that lengthy amount to get from level 16 to level 17, there's a very good possibility that from 17 to 18, it's only a couple hundred more experience.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, Z-Man went through the trouble to get the princess, so he could find out exactly how much more he needs if he wants.
But as close as this is, if they're both fighting the Dragon Lord, that extra, or that effort to save the princess could be a backfiring factor, for lack of a better term, as having the princess in the endgame procession with the king, that does add, I believe, another 8 seconds for the princess to add her dialogue to the mix. And if this comes to within seconds, that princess could be the difference between victory and defeat. And another level for Ryu, now up to level 18.
I missed what the stat gains were on that, but he is probably more than ready to fight the Dragon Lord at this point, assuming that they don't get sleep locked and any other shenanigans that the Dragon Lord 2 might have. And Dragon Lord 1 even could be a challenge in Chaos mode as well.
Oh, that isn't even the half of it. I have seen Seeds commenting here on Monday Night Warrior, the weekly Monday Night Randomizer that has been suspended here for the tournament, but something you can catch here on the Randomania Network once the tournament has concluded a little bit later in the spring. But I saw a fight which a lot of it was down to the wire based on the Dragon Lord 1 battle, as the Dragon Lord 1 was doing damage just in melee attacks from anywhere between 70 and 81 hit points.
Yeah, you can also have situations in Chaos where the Guardian, before you get to Dragon Warrior Ward, could be very formidable. You could have potentially 255 agility. You could run into a real beast on the Guardian potentially as well.
And Ryu getting another level here, another 8 power gain. Not even bothering to check the stats. It's just a matter at this point of get me down there and get me to the Dragon Lord. Especially since Z-Man has made his way to floor 7 and is going to go to the treasury. Meanwhile, Ryu going up another level with 12 power gain and 22 magic. 2 levels, up to 21.
This is pretty crazy. He could end up approaching the Dragon Lord behind, and then it might take him only a few hits to beat the Dragon Lord, and he could pass him right in that fight.
Well, we see here as Z-Man making his way into the basement treasury. So far, 4 of the 6 chests opened, and we've got the fairy flute at the bottom level. One more chest to go. If this one is an Erdrick's sword, then we know that it is in its vanilla location midway in Charlock Castle. And there's Erdrick's sword. It was the top
I'm sure
track.
Z-Man was relieved that it was there and he didn't have to backtrack for it.
That had to make the pulse jump up just a little bit. But now Z-Man having a little bit of a struggle with the Warlock. Now all of a sudden here's Ryu. Is he going to make the detour to the treasury? Or is he just going to go right for the Dragon Lord?
This could be a really close race, guys. His Dragon Lord 2 fight could be significantly shorter than Z-Man's. He could catch up right during that battle.
Well, Ryu is taking that detour. What a way to start off this tournament here.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Very chaotic, if I do say so.
It certainly fits the bill, and we still have 10 more first-round matches to go over the course of the next week or so.
I wonder if taking these few seconds to get the sword is going to be the fatal mistake here. I don't think he needed it.
Well, there is still the equalizer of that mini-boss heading to Dragon Lord, which Z-Man is close, but is taking a little extra time with the Magician and not getting much for it in terms of experience and gold. And we've got the Demon Knight, who has been fairly problematic this seed.
I didn't notice if Z-Man used up all his herbs, because he entered this mini-boss battle with only about 60 HP.
Or perhaps he's saving them for the other side here and is able to get through the Demon Knight. No, all 6 herbs still in play. And he sees 763 to the next level and decides, you know what? We're going to give it a go. Let's herb up to the max here and get it on. .143 attack power.
Let's see if Dragon Lord 1 has something up his sleeve.
Well, Dragon Lord 1 has hurt. Dodges an attack, and oh, there's sleep.
And very high defense. Z-Man only did 6 damage against him.
Game Boy noting in chat that once Z-Man gets to Dragon Lord 2... Oh, wow. Dragon Lord attacking for 32.
I think Ryu is in the lead here.
And another casting of sleep. Z-Man hoping that Dragon Lord starts to spam that hurt spell because an attack, oh wow, down to 8 hit points. Debating what to do. Meanwhile, Ryu working on, well, he's going to hurt more and not affect a Wraith Knight. Decides to go with Heal More on Dragon Lord 1. That had no effect.
Ryu down to 63 MP, but he does have huge attack power. Let's see if he has enough resources here.
Once Z-Man is able to get past Dragon Lord 1 here and get to Dragon Lord 2, it's a matter of roughly 10 to 21 damage in terms of the attack range based on, and there it is. We are on our way to Dragon Lord 2 for Z-Man. And you see there, able to attack for 19. Meanwhile, Ryu working on healing. And is going to put on the Death Necklace as Ryu to add another 10 attack. 180 attack power for Ryu.
This is going to be close.
I might have missed an attack along the way here, but I believe that Z-Man is up to, at this point, about 80 or so hit points.
This is going to be close. He's doing huge damage.
But you see 25-39 to the Dragon Lord. This is down to the wire here, ladies and gentlemen. But Ryu, is he able to come from behind here as he has more magic points to be able to cast Heal More and able to do more damage per attack?
Oh, Dragon Lord 2 has heal. And Z-Man is unable to get him before he can heal. So now they're going to have to stop spell him at some point.
Well, and that could be an advantage that Ryu has, as his attacks are probably able to negate anything that the Dragon Lord casts in terms of heal. And Ryu is able to do it.
It's unbelievable.
Wow, this is close. This has been amazing thus far, but ultimately it is going to go. Our first round matchup here is going to go to RyuSeishin. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your GGs as RyuSeishin finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 43 seconds.
I can't believe how this just played out at the end. What an exciting finish. Congratulations to Ryu as well. And I think Z-Man just saw the news there.
Oh,
yeah, and Dragon Lord 2 has just been healing himself constantly against Z-Man, and he's not been able to out-hit that.
Oh, and the Fire Breath does Z-Man in. Oh, the heal spam.
Wow, that just took just over an hour. That was a quick Chaos Seed. I just ran one last night that took about 2.5 hours. So wide variety in what's possible here.
This just the beginning here of what we've got going forward. As Z-Man making his way back through the swamp cave.
Yeah, it's interesting too. It looks like Z-Man's going to try and finish out, and he has the princess, so he knows he can level up pretty quickly. He's probably trying to get another level so he can go back down.
And that's something that we realized here was that once you got past that hurdle of level 16 to 17, that the levels came quickly and fervently, to say the least.
I just got a little Discord jingle. I don't know if we have Ryu in our channel here.
I believe we do. Ryu, congratulations and GG. What a seed.
Yeah, that was an interesting seed.
It was definitely rapid fire, as I had noted that, not even 3 minutes in, you were able to, on one of your earliest battles, you were able to get an excellent move on the Stone Man, beat him for 184 experience, and all of a sudden you just leaped in one go from level 1 to level 7.
Yeah, that first enemy, and that level jump and the attack power, the agility, the HP, just everything.
So I have a question for you, Rio, about the early game. So it turns out from the throne room you had 2 keys to work with, and you decided right away to go ahead and explore the treasury and keep what was in there and save your progress. And that, of course, would mean that you don't have any keys left for the rest of the game until you find more. Did you have any thought of resetting and just leaving what was in the treasure chest and maybe saving up to buy more keys, or were you happy with what was in there and you just wanted to move forward?
Pontificating his answer very deeply before providing one.
So yeah, with that, since it had herbs that were farmable, anytime I can farm up to 6 herbs for use in a wet noodle fight, just to give me a little bit of a better chance at getting that kill, I always keep those herbs.
Okay, so you were going for the strategy of, for lack of a better term, the herb grind.
Yeah, keeping some healing since we didn't have anything to heal to start with.
Okay, so that's interesting. So that might be something you might not do if it was not a chaos seed, but you decided that it was worth having the herbs and giving up the key in the process.
Right, and a chaos seed, I always like to have something to heal. That way, in the case of a wet noodle fight, if it's a 1-for-1 slap fest, where you may be missing or failing to do damage sometimes, you have that extra heal to continue that fight.
Yeah, I like the thought there. The early level up from fighting something like a stone man like you did, surely that must be worth giving up the key for that. Very fast progress you made, so it did work out very well.
And then with all the swamp around us, it came in handy having the herbs for healing.
Yeah, the chat was commenting earlier that this may be the most most herbs used in any match ever. You guys didn't gain any healing spells until late in the game.
Yeah, heal definitely did not come until way late in the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, about 26 minutes in, 26 and a half minutes in, you'd gone to level 12, and that's when heal first came into the mix.
I see Z-Man found the fairy flute. Where was that at, out of curiosity?
Well, the fairy flute, oddly enough, was in the one chest in the lower, in the very bottom of Charlock that you didn't open. Once you had found the sword, you darted out of there, and that one chest that was remaining, the middle right chest, was the fairy flute.
Ah, okay, so it was that middle chest.
Yep, the middle chest, or yeah, since there are 2 in the middle there, I guess I middle right as opposed to middle left. But yeah, that one middle chest was the fairy flute.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I didn't know the fairy flute could be in Charlock. I thought that the items were always outside.
Well, the fairy flute can be kind of like the Erdrick's. Well, yeah, the Erdrick's sword obviously is in a chest, but the fairy flute can be in a search spot or in a chest. And in this case, that can include a chest in Charlock.
Right. The quest items that you need in order to build the rainbow drop obviously are guaranteed to not be in Charlock, but the fairy flute is not one of those.
Right. Yeah, that was just something I always thought was that the fairy flute had to be outside as well in either a chest or one of the search item spots. But no coordinates and no hawks, only coal.
Well, yeah, with finding Erdrick's token in a chest right at the offset, what was going through your mind as you found this festival of riches, in a sense, as far as all of the key items of the game, the Stones of Sunlight, the Erdrick's token, and the Silver Harp, all within the first maybe 20 minutes?
My thought on that, and then especially with the stones, I think were in Rimildar, was find the staff cave, find the jerk cave, get those out of the way, so I don't have to go searching for them later, or remember where they were later.
And that looked to be a sound strategy, as those were things you had found early, and then it was a matter of looking around for Erdrick's armor and Erdrick's sword.
Yeah, the armor took a while to find coal, being that it was right next to Charlock. As far as the sword, I had already searched everything except for the bottom of the grave, and I was hoping it would be there, but yeah, it turned out to not be.
Well, it ended up having the death necklace, which made your already potent power that much more potent. You had, I think, 180 strength heading into the DL fight.
Yeah, that 180 strength, I was glad I'd picked up the death necklace, and I considered not using it. But based on how much MP I had left by the time I made it down there, I figured I might as well just use it, give myself the best chance with the most damage possible.
Well, you're looking at the difference of, without it, it's an attack range on Dragonlord 2 of 17 to 35, versus with it, you had a range of 20 to 40.
Yeah, that also worked out well for you, Ryu, because you'll see when you watch the replay on this, you guys were fighting Dragonlord 2 side by side at the same time, and I don't know if you even ran into it, but Dragonlord 2 has the heal spell, and Z-Man just wasn't, he was still on level 16 and did not have the death necklace, and he was not able to out-hit that. Dragonlord 2 was healing himself over and over, and ultimately he died, whereas with all that attack power that you had, including using the death necklace, you pretty much were able to out-hit him. I'm not even sure that he was able to heal at all against you.
No, I definitely did not run into any of the healing issues, which I was hoping that would not be an issue since I had such low MP. Did not want to have to waste any MP on stop spells.
Yeah, so you were hitting him for so much damage that you may have skipped right over his threshold for casting heal. You may have just killed him, in one shot. So that was a decidedly a difference maker with Z-Man having lower stats. He actually got to the Dragonlord 2 before you did, but his match was taking much longer, and ultimately he was not able to deal with the heal spell. And you had already defeated the Dragonlord by then because it took you so few hits with 180 attack power. It was really a pretty exciting finish. You'll see when you watch the replay.
Yeah, I see McGrew noting there. Something I actually forgot to think about this time was I would have been soft locked with wearing that death necklace. That's actually usually a thought that does run through my mind, but this time it did not. And thankfully it worked out, because otherwise, yeah, I would have been soft locked out of getting through the swamp and getting back to fight Dragonlord again.
Well, you had the armor on, though, right? I'm trying to think of how that would have.
Oh, interesting, because he's saying even Brockenary was on the other side. If all of that stuff is on the other continent, then there's no way to uncurse yourself, and there's no way to even get through the swamp cave if it's attached to the back door of Tantegel Castle. Wow, yeah, that's it. I didn't even think of that while we were. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Brockenary was on the other continent. Okay.
The other thing I was worried about is I played one recently where there was a giant swamp right around the Tantegel, and I always wonder if that's a form of getting soft locked. If you run out of herbs and you get booted from the castle, and I don't know. I guess it's no big deal if you have Erdrick's armor, though.
That would have certainly made things interesting.
I actually ran into a seed that that exact possibility came into play, where you could soft lock yourself out of getting back through the back of Tantegel to go through the swamp cave to complete the game. And I actually had thought about it at that time and did not put on the death necklace in that seed that I did. But yeah, this time, yeah, definitely did not think about it. So good thing it worked out for me, I guess.
Well, that was definitely high risk, high reward. Yeah, I hadn't even think about that Brockenary was on the other. I guess because we had seen so little of Brockenary, Z-Man went into it and then quickly went out of it.
I suppose one thing you could do in that situation is if you do have to go through Tantegel to get across the swamp cave, and you know you're just about to make your final dive, maybe you just stop by the king and save your game. That way, if you get a soft lock, you can reset your game at level 20 or whatever you're at. Just a little something extra to think about. Looks like Z-Man has finished now. He's waiting for the princess to do her thing, and he is done.
Get out your GGs for Z-Man, who finishes up with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 4 seconds. Wow. Need to take a breath here after that.
That was a fast one. We'll be very interested to hear Z-Man's thoughts on this.
Yep, as we're waiting for Z-Man to come in and join us for a little bit here, I want to let you know about the upcoming races here in the tournament as we're just getting things started. In fact, tomorrow night, just roughly 23 and a half hours from now, is our next first round matchup, and it's going to be Captain Green 7 against the tie-dye guy, who has been helping us out here tonight as far as the tracking, and that is greatly appreciated. He'll be going from the tracking booth into the gaming booth tomorrow night, and oddly enough, the two competitors whom you have seen tonight will be teamed up on commentary in an interesting twist. So it'll be Z-Man and RyuSeishin bringing you the action tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, here on Randomania. Captain Green 7 against the tie-dye guy in the second of our 11 first-round matchups here in the Chaos Tournament.
Hey, good game, Ryu. Nicely done, sir.
And that would be the dulcet tones of Z-Man joining us now, warming up for that commentary 23 and a half hours from now or so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We're actually closer to 23 hours. Time is just flying on by here. Although it certainly did in the seed. I mean, even in following up with us here, only 77 minutes and change. I mean, what were your thoughts as the Festival of Riches came in early?
I love the early game. I mean, it was just absolutely dead perfect. I was going, and then I hit the wall mid-game and realized, oh, look, Garanham was right there. Oh, look, Rimmeldar was right there. Crap. I'm behind. I'm really behind.
Well, we had noticed that you'd found Rimmeldar, but once you had, did you double back to get the chest that was in there that ultimately had the Stones of Sunlight?
Oh, the first time but wasn't that the first time I went into Rimmeldar? I got the stones because I didn't find Rimmeldar early. I don't
Oh, you
think. I don't
didn't
remember.
find it early. Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you two were going neck and neck, and maybe in the midst of everything here, I'd glance down. I thought, oh, Z-Man's gone into it. Okay, so you did find it late. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. Unless I'm having a complete brain fart, I didn't find it until whenever it was I grabbed the stones. That was the first time I saw it, and I knew Ryu had me right there. I just there was no way around it. He had me.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You guys did find things in different order, but it was actually a very close race because he was having trouble finding Cole and Charlock, so he was without the armor until the very end.
Oh,
And
okay.
you needed some of the other things, and you were leveling up pretty evenly. So it turned out to actually be very close. That first fight that you had against the Dragon Lord, um, you guys were within 30 seconds of each other at
Oh,
that point. So it was a
wow.
close race.
Yeah, and then that first Dragon Lord 1 fight of mine, that was so fun. What did I get sleep locked for? About 7 turns?
Something along those lines.
And then how about my first dive into Charlock when I got sleep locked for 4 turns against the Wraith Knight and got pummeled to death?
Yeah, on that one, it looked like you were going in just to look for the sword, and you were just like a few steps away from the treasury. And
Yeah.
that's randomizer for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's randomizer, that's chaos. I mean, I'm not. It's just kind of frustrating. And how'd you like my end of game stats there? 170 attack power, 130 agility.
Yeah, well, you ended up being at the same level that Ryu was, as he had broken that gap from level 16 to 17, which was a very lengthy gap. And then after that, it was just a matter of maybe another few hundred experience points to go from level 17 to 20, like you had done. He
Okay.
had done it a little bit earlier. Plus, he had also found the death necklace. So by the time you two were fighting side by side, Dragon Lord 2, he had, this is before you'd gotten those extra levels and you were still at 16.
Yeah.
He had, with the death necklace, 180 attack.
Yeah. So he was chunking the Dragon Lord. I mean, the heals didn't bother Ryu at all then in his first go round. Whereas, the heals are what stopped me from beating the Dragon Lord in the first go round.
Exactly.
Such is life, though. I mean, Ryu played a great seed. Full props to him, and let's go for the next. Let's go for the next round next week.
And that is what's great about this, is that one loss isn't quite out of it. It just puts a little bit more pressure on, as those with a 2-1 record or better over the course of the 3 rounds of this Swiss seed tournament, or Swiss round of the tournament, will advance on to the bracket round, where it's then single elimination. So while it's a little bit of an uphill battle, nothing that you certainly can't handle. And for Ryu, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's in the driver's seat either, as while there is one victory in, there's still going to be a battle to get at least another one in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, the other thing, I guess there's not a great way to know who you'll be facing next time, Z-Man, but I guess with the Swiss system, I assume that it'll be someone else that is also 0-1, or most likely.
Yeah, that's the way the Swiss will work. There's going to be one person that is a 1-0-0-1 matchup, because it's going to be an odd number of 1-0s and an odd number of 0-1. So there's going to be one crossover. So the likelihood is that I get another 0-1, but there's a chance I could face the 1-0.
We will definitely cross that bridge when we get to it. And, well, that does create for the possibility, as the bracket round could be, depending on how those odd off seedings could go, it could be anywhere from 10 to 12 competitors in the bracket round.
Right.
So as far as the upcoming schedule, we talked about tomorrow night in about 23 hours from now. It'll be Captain Green 7 against the Tie-Dye Guy, and that's going to be here on Randomania. And Z-Man and Ryu, you'll be bringing the commentary to the mix here. Also on Friday night, the 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be Katen 619 against Janice. And then a doubleheader on Saturday night, which I'll be working some kind of overtime here, as I'll be bringing both of those matchups to you. First at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be Sparkover against Amazing Ampharos, and then scheduled at 9 p.m. Eastern, but will more than likely be immediately after that race should it run long. It'll be the Seawolf 1 against Lord of the Synth. And then we still have 6 other first-round matchups that are still yet to be scheduled that'll be coming up over the course of the next week here on the Randomania Network.
Sounds like fun. Looking forward to all that myself.
Absolutely. Z-Man, any final thoughts here before we take a 23-hour respite?
Well, first I got to thank the Tie-Dyed Guy and Fioron and Up to No Good. You guys, I'm sure, did a great job with commentary. I'll have to watch the VOD. And for those of you in chat, make sure you drop these 3 a follow, please. And also make sure you follow my competitor tonight and my co-commentator tomorrow, RyuSeishin, who did an amazing job tonight. And Ryu, I am very much looking forward to tomorrow.
Yep, should be fun commentating with you after having had our race tonight.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it looks like that is going to just about wrap things up here for the opening night of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament. This is just the beginning here, folks. We've got about 7 more weeks of action and a lot more action to come your way. So for our 2 competitors, Z-Man and RyuSeishin, for our restreamer to Tie-Dye Guy, as well as my co-commentator Up to NG, I'm Ferran Burgundy saying until next time, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy. Good night, everyone.